The Hangman's Tree by SilentNightIndustry. Have you ever taken a picture and wondered how you missed something obvious and distracting in the background? It's always been a peeve of mine, and I take great care to choose my shots so this couldn't possibly happen. That is, I thought it couldn't happen. After last night, I'm not so sure anymore. It was like any other night. I was out with my dog, Mabel, in the local park, snapping pictures with my camera in the dim glowing light of the moon and the stars. After about half an hour of shooting, we came to a large twisted tree in the centre of a ring of waist-high boulders. The branches were bare and hung about 7.5 feet above the grass. With a smile, I stepped into the circle of stone and started taking pictures of the tree when, after a few moments, my camera beeped, signalling low battery. That's odd, I thought to myself, as Mabel sniffed around the base of the tree. I could have sworn it had at least another 3 hours before this thing died. Out of nowhere, Mabel let out a yelp like she was in pain. I rushed over to her to find that she was alright, but she kept looking towards the tree like she did when I vacuumed the apartment. When I stood, my eye was drawn to a shape carved into the trunk. It was a fleur-de-lis. I recognised it easily from my days as a Boy Scout. The symbol had always fascinated me, so on a whim one day, I did some research on it. While mostly used for the notability of France, some sources claimed it to be the mark of a condemned man. The lily was branded into the left shoulder forever, marking the man as set to hang. I don't know how long I stared at the carving, but the unmistakable sound of a footstep to my left broke my trance, causing me to whip my head around, looking for the owner. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice echoing softly. There was no response. Mabel looked up at me whining, and I placed a hand on her head reassuringly. She nosed at my hand and tugged on the leash. I gave a small sigh. "All right," I said with a hint of disappointment at the wasted night. We started away from the tree, back towards the car. When we reached the boulders, there was a soft thump and a sickening cracking sound from behind me. My whole body tensed. That sounded nothing like a branch breaking. I turned slowly, terrified of what I might see. There was nothing there. I took a step or two towards the tree again, morbid curiosity getting the better of me. Mabel tugged again on her leash, but I wasn't paying attention. My eyes scanned the darkness around me, looking for whatever had caused the noise. Then I saw something that still fills me with fear and terror just thinking about it. Huddled at the base of the tree was the black hooded figure of a man who was assuredly not there before. His bruised and beaten face contorted into a sadistic smile, chilling me to the bone. His gaze was directed at a noose cradled in his arms like it was his firstborn child. Who are you?" I asked in barely a squeak, my heart catching in my throat. The man looked up at me, and his smile grew wider to the point that I could see every one of his broken, chipped, crooked teeth. My heart was pounding, and Mabel was cowering behind my legs. He simply stared at me, his blood-stained smile never fading. I took a step back, and then another. As I reached the boulders again, turning, running, I heard an evil and insane laugh from behind me. Mabel and I jumped into the car and drove home as fast as we could. When we got home, I fed Mabel and sat at the computer, staring at the camera in my trembling hands. It took me a few moments before I found the courage to check my camera for the pictures from that night. Strangely, the camera showed full battery when I turned it on. Only 6 photos were on the card. I almost growled in anger. At least 100 pictures were gone forever. I let out a huff and transferred the content to the card onto my computer. Mabel came over and rested her head in my lap as I pulled up the pictures. All 6 showed the tree, except there was something there that wasn't there before. Hanging from a branch was a man. At his feet was a chair that had been kicked out from under them. On closer examination, I realised something that made my heart stop and my face turn a ghostly pale. The man hanging in the tree was me.